Welcome back, it's me, Lou. Okay, so for today's video, it's going to be somewhat different than usual. I don't really know how to explain it. I think this is more of a character showcase, if I had to describe it like that. Alright, so we're going to be kind of looking at this character here. This is Warduke from Dungeons and Dragons. And if he looks familiar, it's because NECA, they're actually going to not re-release, but NECA is actually going to produce their interpretation of this action figure in the near future. If you go online, you can find photos of it. It looks amazing. And for me, when I saw photos of that figure, as amazing as the NECA Warduke figure looks, it made me really, really nostalgic for the original figure from the 80s, which is this guy right here. This is an action figure I never had as a kid. I had one other Dungeons and Dragons figure from this line growing up. I believe I was maybe like 6 years old at the time. And the only figure I had from this line was the Strongheart figure. But deep down inside, the Warduke was the figure I wanted when I was a kid. This was the much more iconic character. And he's such a beloved character in the world of Dungeons and Dragons. And for me, the NECA figure looks great. And I'm sure I might get it. But this is the one I really wanted. It's a small figure. It's maybe about 4 inches tall. It has that articulation that you expect from a figure from the 80s to have, which is very bare minimum. He came with this shield with a crazy skull on it. And then a sword. And then for a play feature, if you flip him on the back, there's like a little lever here. And if you flick it, his arm goes up and down. So the Warduke figure here is something I purchased on eBay last week. And it didn't come cheap. A lot of the figures that I ran into, they were horrible. Keep in mind, this is a figure from like the 1980s, early 80s. So trying to find one in decent shape was like almost impossible. Most of the ones I ran into were missing the accessories. Thankfully this one wasn't. Some of the other figures I saw, the joints were loose, the paint was like chipped everywhere. But this one looked near pristine, and I paid a pretty penny for him. It's a figure that I've wanted since childhood. So it's Warduke. He looks great. And his shield looks awesome. It's a skull with horns. And I don't want to put the weapons into his hands because I don't want to ruin the paint or worse, crack the thumb off. If you grew up during the 80s, that was something that was very prone to happen with a lot of toys. G.I. Joes especially. If you put the guns in the wrong way, next thing you know, the thumb breaks off and you have a Joe figure that can't hold a weapon. This guy in my collection is going to be strictly a display piece. He looks, I mean, just look at that. It's a very iconic D&D character, very beloved by fans. It looks great. So part of my recent mania for this character kind of came about recently. So I think this came out last year. I can't remember. I think either early this year or late last year. This was the D&D companion module, The Wild Beyond the Witchlight, a Feywild adventure. And it's pretty neat. And one thing that really stood out for me with this specific campaign, where is it? Is that they brought back the classic D&D characters. And one of them was Warduke. Right here. There he is in all his glory. They changed his color scheme so it's not as like rainbow skittle like. It's grounded a little bit more in reality with the grays and silvers. But as you can tell, it's he retains a lot of the same iconography. Especially with the shield. He has the same shield. He has the crazy horned helm that he's known for. And he's Warduke. And what's even cooler is that recently, maybe like, I want to say maybe a month or two ago, WizKids released this. This was a new set of miniatures to accompany the new campaign. And this is the League of Malevolence. And as you can see in the middle, here's the Warduke miniature figure. Again, this features the much more updated, realistic color scheme. He's not as like rainbow bright as like this guy here, but it's the same character. So yeah, very excited to have this this character and this figure. You know, for me, this every time I think of D&D and when I was younger, I always think of either the 80s cartoon or the toy line. And when I think of that toy line, I always immediately think of Warduke. You know, great looking character. Love this. It's very toyetic. You know, that's a term everyone uses nowadays to describe stuff. And the character itself, you know, he's awesome. Let's go back to that. Yeah, so if you're into D&D, you know, the figure is just really awesome. It's really, you know, really brings back a lot of memories. Yeah, he looks so badass. He's a human, chaotic evil. Warduke's services as a remorseless killer for hire can be easily bought. Yeah, so that's great. All right, like I said, this is gonna be this was a somewhat shorter video, a little bit different. I just really wanted to focus on Warduke. If you're familiar with D&D, you know about this dude. If you grew up during the 80s and had the toys, I hope this really brings back some memories. So wrapping this video up, once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for your support. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.